Yo, what is going on today, guys? We're back here for another video, and rank ends in exactly 7 days on the 27th for me in my time zone, whatever day that is for you. And the reset time obviously could be different, for EST people. Let's basically get into the top 5 decks that you can use to get that top 1000 or whatever rank you are looking for. So the first deck we're going to talk about, bro, is obviously going to be Suicune. So this is kind of like one of the standard lists. This one is using Leaf. There are a couple changes you can make to this list. Like if you want to play the pure basically Suicune Greninja for the no Oricorio. So if you do want to make some changes, one of the changes is you can run one Cyrus, one Repel. This is very good for the mirror matches. Almost every single deck in the meta right now has a basic Pokemon that is attacking. Very good to disrupt mirror matches, so they lose energy advantage and whatever. So you can take one Cyrus out for a Repel. I've played the two Cyrus build personally. I think either of them are both good. I do think Repel is nice because sometimes you can't find that Greninja early on, so the Repel can come more in handy. However, sometimes you do get in the games where you want two Cyruses because you get a fast Greninja. It is personal preference. There's not really a better one because they both perform better in tournaments. It just seems like people usually play one Cyrus, one Repel more often than the two Cyrus build. Some of the other different options you could run, bro, for example, is you could basically run X-Speed over Leaf. Some people have been doing this. This is fairly uncommon, but some people have been doing it, so it does get also used on Giratina. But besides Leaf, I think the most popular one right now is actually going to be the inflatable boat. So if you don't want to play Leaf, you want to play inflatable boat because you want to use maybe something like an Irida and a swap card on the same turn. Inflatable boat is nice because it basically has usage throughout the whole game unless get Guzzlord. However, you can't use it on Giratina, so that's the one downside over Leaf. I think either your boat and Leaf or XP, I think they're all fine. And if you actually want to make basically Greninja have a better matchup against stuff like Guzz and Darktina, you actually just remove the swap card, and all you have to do is simply add the bird that you hate. Add one Oricorio. You are still playing pure water. You are basically just having this guy in the active spot to tank, build up the Greninjas, do whatever you need to do to be able to stall and win the matchup that you usually would not win. This is currently the list the number one player Zeraora has been playing, who has basically broken Pokemon Pocket history, getting past 10,000 points. Obviously, Pikachu was the first to hit 10,000, but just stayed at that number. I think Zeraora might be in 11,000 right now. I've been using this exact list also for the last 2 days. And yeah, I'm getting 450 points just using it, bro. This is I think this is just the best deck in the game. Next on, let's move to what I think is the second best deck in the game. That is going to be Dark Giratina. So there's multiple ways people are playing this. This one has kind of become popular, bro, with the 3-hand disruption without any giant cape. They have Silver, Repel, or not Repel, but Red Card and the Mars. I feel like most Darktina builds have started just running Repel. I've even seen some use double Repel and take out a different support card. I've also seen some not have the silver, play something like double red because double red is very useful into this meta. So obviously Darktina is one of those decks. It's been here for 5 seasons. If you've been playing the game, you know what it is. It is very flexible because you have so much room for support cards. You could always change up the ratios. For example, like I said, bro, take out the silver, add a double red. Maybe you don't even want double red, bro. Maybe you just want double Repel and one red. Or maybe you don't need the Guzzlord, bro, something like that. Or maybe you want to take something out, bro. Maybe you want to run one giant cape. There's so much room, dude. It's basically up to you to customize. And we know Darktina is, bro. If you haven't, there's so many videos explaining how to play the deck. It's just very consistent. It's good in the Suicune for the most part, unless you're playing the Ori build. Although you can still definitely win it, or just makes it 100% harder. It's good into stuff like Silvally Zeraora. Can be good into stuff like Guzz. I think Darktina might be a little bit better into Guzz, but at the same time, I think it's most of an even matchup. Anyways, let's move on to what I think is the third deck. So Flareon is extremely powerful. Basically, it's a turbo Flareon deck. This is one of the most standard lists that actually won a tournament. And yeah, dude, you have the 4 EVs. I can just put them together. You have usually only one Flareon now because Oricorio is still there, but it's not super popular. So I know some people don't like to clog their hand. They want that extra support card ratio. And they also just want to be able to find a friend and either get Sylveon or Flareon when they need, whichever one they do need. And yeah, Flareon EX is very good in the Darktina because going second Flareon EX you with the EV bags and the double red, you could easily just one shot something in the active. Same thing going into Suicune matchup. If you can just get that one shot very early on, it's kind of hard for the Suicune to recover. However, if you do give the Suicune player time, the Greninja pings are very good. 2 pings KO a Magby, and then Suicune obviously has the advantage with being a water type, so Flareon takes that additional 20 plus a Giratina, dude. If they do have time to charge it up, will actually one shot the Flareons, with the combination of Greninja. So Flareon is a nice turbo deck. However, the downside is the deck is very inconsistent because if you don't find the key pieces fast enough, your opponent does have setup time and they probably will be able to beat you. But it's basically that turbo deck you can't play if you just want fast matches, fast wins. You might lose a lot of points, but you might gain a lot of points at the same time. So it's kind of one of those gamble decks you can play with the win streak meta that we are currently in. Next up, gonna be Guzz, dude. So this was the build used by Nabrix to win. Some people play red card, some people play Guzma over the red card because they only need like, they only want like the one hand disruption. I think the red card makes sense. You know, we're in like a format you don't really want to give Suicune, you know, a 2 million hand size if possible, plus, you know, just every other deck. So red card is always nice, you know, to be able to disrupt your opponent. And some people play like 2 Willowsware even over like the red card. But for the most part, Guz is just really good. You know, has a pretty good Suicune matchup. Like obviously them adding the Ori is just kind of awkward because you have to use that Stilla. But you know, you have like the repels. I've even seen some Guzzlord decks using 2 repels, like basically disrupt Oricorios back when Oricorio was like more meta relevant besides on the Suicune deck. But nowadays it's like really like the Happy Coco deck, like low key, it's kind of like falling off. Yeah, but it's like good, bro. It's like decent. It's good in the Flareon. It's good in the Suicune for the most part if they don't have Ori. And the Darktina matchup is like basically even maybe slightly Darktina favored, but it's just a very strong deck overall. And yeah, Guz is just gonna grindcore, dude, Murder Day. It has so many support cards. It's kind of like the new Darktina, basically. It's kind of funny how Guzzlord ended up outlasting Buzzwole because you never would have thought about that if you played back in ED Crisis. Even though like I played Guzzlord myself, I knew it was very strong. But it's funny how they basically dropped like the whole poison package, and then Guzzlord plus Celesteela has just kind of like lasted on its own. Anyways, yeah, it's a strong deck, dude, into the other top deck, so that's why I basically mentioned Guzzlord. Let's move on to what I think is the final deck you should be playing if you are truly just trying to play the best of the best decks. So I recommend this deck only if you are playing a bunch of Suicunes. I don't think this deck is overall one of the best decks. However, it is very strong. It's going to be Silvally Zeraora, basically dropping Ori, as Ori is like pretty useless. And you know, with Ori, you could have bad stars going first because you would have like no energy advantage. With the double Zera, or like with the only 4 basic Pokemon, you have like a pretty high chance to start Zera, at least one of them, to get that energy advantage, you know. And this did 3rd place, dude, at a tournament. It did very good in the I think it's like what Judy Coliseum or whatever it's called, bro. I forget what the tournament name is. Got 3rd place, dude, only losing to Darkrai, which is like the worst matchup for it. But this deck is like pretty good in the Suicune. Sometimes, you know, Suicune's just the best deck. Sometimes Suicune will still beat this deck. I've done it myself. Like in the last 2 days, I think I faced like 5 of these decks. I've beat them all. But that's just because Suicune is so powerful. Overall, it's probably the deck best suited to beat Suicune because like you can just get like a very fast aggressive lead. Sometimes like going first type null does suck, but it is what it is. And then like it's like alright in the Flareon, bro. Like from testing, it kind of like felt pretty even for Flareon. It kind of just depended. Like if type null had like a good lead and the Flareon maybe like bricked 1 or 2 turns, like I feel like this beat it. You know, can do alright in the Darkrai, kind of. You know, maybe if like the Darkrai player bricks and you could just like turbo Silvally going second, you could always do something. It can be decent in the Guz, you know, because Guz sometimes has a problem where they can't find another Pokemon. So if you can go like second and like steamroll them, dude, or maybe dodge some grindcores, you can kill a Guzzlord actually pretty fast, you know, for Silvally. So that is something. It's mainly like a counter to Suicune. So if you are playing a lot of Suicunes, I would recommend playing this. However, if you're not playing a lot of Suicunes, if you're playing a bunch of variety, I'd probably recommend the other 4 decks more. But I just wanted to include it because like it is probably the best Suicune counter, even though like I said, bro, like Suicune is still so strong that even its counters are sometimes not like a guaranteed win. Yeah, so anyways, I think these are the top 5 decks. Either like obviously there are some honorable mentions, bro, like Dragonite, but I think that deck is very inconsistent. And there are some other stuff like, I don't know, like the Tapu Koko or Oricorio deck. But I think if you want to play one of those decks like that, dude, I think I'd rather play this one personally. That's why I'm telling you guys the top 5 decks, because I think we're in a very dominated format, dude. We have Suicune, the best deck. We have Darktina, and the other tier 2 decks. Like I honestly, I mentioned Flareon 3rd. I don't think Flareon is the 3rd best deck. I don't think we have a 3rd best deck. We have like these other decks that can compete in these tier 2, like this tier 2 zone, and they're all good. Like I think Flareon, Guz, I think Silvally Zeraora is all in that same range. I don't know which one is better because it's all matchup dependent. Where I think Suicune is definitely above Darktina. I think Darktina is right under Suicune, and then it's kind of like a mix of the other decks. So yeah, if you want to play ranked, dude, we have 1 week left. I recommend going for that goal, dude, playing one of these decks. If you want to play something fun, dude, obviously go ahead and play like those Dragonite decks. You could easily find one on Limitless. Yeah, you could always go to limitless.com, dude, or it's like limitlesstcg.com. I'll have like a link in the comments or something. But if you ever want to check out some other decks that are being played in the format, you could always do here, bro. You just click on the deck and then you just find a list that did good at the tournament. However, like I said, I just wanted to mention the top 5 ones for you. If you want to take like, you know, Dragonite list, bro, go ahead, get a Dragonite list if you want. This one actually just got 3rd, dude. Or actually no, this one didn't get 3rd, but there's one that like just did good. I think got 2nd at a big tournament. I don't think maybe it's updated on this yet. Anyways, I think that's it for the videos, bro. Peace out, have a lovely day as always, and have good luck grinding.